Hey, Michelle. Okay, I think the back of the poster looks 100% better. I really do. So I tweaked the back of the poster. Yes, I got rid of the timeline itself and just arranged. I want to talk about that also. Arranging the information, change the background cross, color, color of the typography is hard to see. That color pops out best. I think it's. I do. I think it's a superior iteration than the last one, and I think the main thing is. Michelle, I think the main thing is that that box of type isn't just plastered over that. Remember that white type that was, boy, if you are ever working on a project and your type just doesn't seem to fit, just keep in mind placing a box behind the type is rarely the solution. It's something that is we see it every now and then. Professional designers try to stay away from it because what you're trying to avoid is compartmentalizing. You want a synergistic relationship here, reciprocal relationship between type and image. So by placing type in a background color box, you're actually drawing separation from the composition and not allowing the synergy of the reciprocal relationship of type to the background, to the actual picture plane, and to the image work itself. So that was an excellent decision. As far as your typography goes, we'll talk about type, then we'll talk about layout. So the type, I think, it's pretty good. I really want you to try to work with old style figures. I think they would be beautiful in your body copy as well as in your timeline. There's a demonstration on how to access old style figures in the announcements area. Be sure to take a look at that. But I really think it will improve the typographic flow. This type right here, I think it's pretty large. And this is 11 by 17. So at 11 by 17, I'll bet you this type size here is, let me see. Well, this is 17, but I'll bet you this is around probably 18, maybe even larger. That's going to be pretty large. It probably is larger, come to think of it, since this is 17 inch. But I just think it's a little bit too large. I think we can reduce the type size there. As far as your indents go, you've got an indent as well as a space between. And if you remember from our course lectures, you don't need both. I prefer a space between. You don't have to ever don't have to indent the first paragraph because it's the first paragraph. You don't need to mark it. You don't need to show the viewer that this is the first paragraph or this is a new paragraph because it's the first thing on the page. It's very obvious that's the first paragraph. So you don't ever need to indent the first paragraph. You also don't need to indent if you're using a space between. I prefer a space between. I think it's much cleaner on that left margin. So either a space or an indent, but not both. Um, Rags are looking pretty good. Good job there. I think this word later can drop to the next line. I think that's going to redistribute some of your spacing. It may push the to the right a little bit. Just drop that to the next line. That'll really clean up your rags beautifully. Um, this little composition here looks much better, but I don't see the value in following the diagonal with this composition. I would just left align that because right now you're getting some kind of unusual negative space. So I would just go ahead and left align that. Okay, the timeline. The timeline itself is not a timeline per se. A timeline is a designed graphic. Right now, this is basically a chronological listing of events. So I recommend that you work something in here to get that timeline. Maybe even work it into the inverted cross. And, I'm just wondering, I know I made several different times different recommendations. One of my concerns was the inverted cross and the connotative meaning therein. I never really heard back from you on that. I'm just wondering if you disagree with that or if you see that as a possible connotation, a possible convoluted meaning in terms of connotation. And then I had also recommended that you try to stay away from stacking letters in the title. So I'm kind of wondering what your thought process is there. I also had recommended all title case here and removing the quotes since that's not a quote. It's a tagline. Um, Okay, other than that, you're good to go. If you look at alignment, looking at some things like this, you see right here, you're so close to being in alignment with this, the first line of type. You might as well pull that up a little bit and get it in alignment. But as I recommended, I think this type is too big, and I think the type is really too close to the top of the page. I'd like to see a little bit of a bigger margin there, just to get kind of an introduction, kind of a segue into the poster. It's a little breathing area for the viewer to enter the poster instead of just this really crammed area right up here where it's so close to the top of them. Well, once you do reconfigure that, then you might as well work some sort of alignment in here with that image. Yes, definitely. Okay, so if you have any questions or comments at all, please let me know, and I'll be glad to clarify. All right, good job. Thank you very much.